As a whole, the world we live in continues to speed up. We've been conditioned to move on to the next thing faster, to block and forget, to go to the next big thing, fearful of what might be missed. This applies to the world of sports and cycling too. The second an athlete isn't at their peak, we're on to the next star. Even if they're still doing well and providing exactly what their team asks for them, they're barely mentioned. This is something that I fear has happened to Michał Kwiatkowski, and that he has become underrated and maybe a little underappreciated. It's a strange thing to say about a former world champion, and of course, there are personal biases at play, but I want to highlight just how good Kwiatkowski was and still is. Kwiatkowski's first attempt at the Tour de France wasn't his announcement on the world stage. Earlier that year, he won the Best Young Rider jersey at Torino Adriatico, and also finished 4th overall at the week-long Italian stage race. But the Tour de France is where names are made, and so he did, here on the Isle of Corsica, finishing on the top 5 of stages 2 and 3. These were on tough, hilly courses that showed his strength, resilience, and racecraft far beyond his years. By the end of the Tour, Kwiatkowski wore the Best Young Rider jersey for a few days and finished in an impressive 11th overall. Even more impressive, in my opinion, was that he finished in the top 10 on 6 different stages, including an individual time trial. And the question we have here is, would Kwiatkowski lean towards the general classification battles? Or, given that he can contend on any given day, would he focus on the one-day races? The answer came in 2014. 2014 was the year of Kwiatkowski firmly establishing himself as a one-day, hilly classic specialist. A beautiful performance in the sun saw him win this year's edition of Strade Bianche, ahead of eternal star Peter Sagan. 3 top 5 finishes at the Hilly Ardennes Classics meant that ahead of this year's World Championships, he was one of the minor favorites to win. Here's why. The World Champs course was straightforward. 14 laps of an 18.2 kilometer long circuit, with 2 hills, adding up to a total of 1,004 feet of climbing a lap. The most important of these hills would be the Alto de Compostela, as it would be the last one the riders would face, and once they reached the top, only 4.5 kilometers of downhill would be between them and the finish line. This circuit is tailor-made for Kwiatkowski, but it's also made for a lot of other, more well-known contenders. There's Australia's Simon Gerrans, who won the 2 one-day races in Canada recently, and the media says the Australian team could be the strongest in the field. Spaniard Alejandro Valverde is here on home turf, a 5-time medalist at the World Championships. But he still hasn't pulled on the rainbow jersey, and this could be the best chance he has. This year's Tour de France winner, Vincenzo Nibali, is here too, as are former Belgian world champions, Tom Boonen and Philippe Gilbert. And, as always, Peter Sagan will probably be the most marked man of the day. Kwiatkowski comes here in good form, finishing 2nd in the Tour of Britain general classification and also snagging a stage win there. If things shift his way, if he makes some smart moves, this rainy day in Ponferrada could be an unforgettable moment. And so, we come to the final lap of the course, with a group of 5 men off the front with a 40-second lead. We fast forward to 8 kilometers to go. The lead group has been cut down to just 4 men, holding on to an 8-second lead. Behind, the peloton closes in, flying down a descent that leads into the final climb of the day. The peloton reaches a long, sweeping left-hander, and from the right side of the group, Kwiatkowski, for lack of a better term, absolutely sends it. And as happens far too often, the TV director chooses this moment to cut back to the lead group. After a few seconds, we switch back to the peloton, and as they go over the top of the dam, Kwiatkowski has opened up a gap of a few desperate seconds. He quickly makes the bridge to the lead group and takes a few moments to catch some of the draft. As the final ascent starts, with just under 6 kilometers to go, he lights up the ascent. Behind, the attacks start flying. At this point, it's every man for themselves. Head tilted, hands in the drops, grimacing the whole way, Kwiatkowski hits the summit of the climb, and the clock is now ticking. Valverde leads a chase group behind with Gerrans, and just 9 seconds separate Kwiatkowski from the pack. We know he's a great descender. Hell, that's why he's leading right now. And to watch this descent is to watch a sculptor chisel a piece of marble into a masterpiece. Not a single inch of road is left uncovered, and he stays off the death trap that's the wet paint on the sides of the road. And so, with 1 kilometer to go, Kwiatkowski has 5 seconds in hand. He's driving through the pedals with whatever is left in his legs after 6 hours of racing. He looks back. Philippe Gilbert is chasing, leading a select group of 6. A right turn. Kwiatko, out of the saddle, driving. He looks back again. He still has the lead. It isn't until 100 meters to go that we see the celebration begin. First, with a tiny headshake in disbelief at what's happened. As he celebrates, the chase group is sprinting behind. But that's for the podium places. Kwiatkowski outsmarted and outdared them all to perfection, and became the first ever Polish rider to win the World Championship. 3 years on from his World Championship win, there's been one very big change in Kwiatkowski's career. He's signed with the juggernaut of Team Sky, a move that many think has put him into more of a domestique role, but has still provided opportunities for him to strike at races that suit him. Milan-San Remo is one of those races. A near 300-kilometer long race, not miles like I might have accidentally said before, and one of cycling's 5 monuments, Milan-San Remo requires great form and, as always, luck. Kwiatkowski still hasn't been able to win a monument, but this is a great chance. He's co-leading the team with Team Sky sprinter Elia Viviani waiting in the wings should it come down to a bunch sprint. As always with this race, the action comes to a crescendo on the final climb of the long day, the Poggio. This is where we join the peloton, as current world champion Peter Sagan attacks on the front with 6.5 kilometers to go. He's been so close to winning here in the past, and now he's at what might be the height of his powers. The race explodes. Only 2 men have the pace to close the gap to Sagan. One of them is Kwiatkowski, and the other is Julian Alaphilippe, who, for all intents and purposes for this moment, is a French version of Kwiatkowski in terms of the riding styles at least, and the pair manage to close the gap on the climb. We reach the finishing moments in San Remo. Sagan, Alaphilippe, and Kwiatkowski are all watching each other. The micro differences in tire choice, jersey tightness, sock height. This is where it matters. And for Kwiatkowski, he's on a team where that's all that does matter. And as the trio come to the finish, equally matched, bashing into each other, every detail mattered. Every pedal stroke on this day mattered. And it mattered most for Kwiatkowski, as he, with the most important bike throw of his life, wins his first monument. Look, you can win, and you can win a lot, but that doesn't necessarily automatically earn you the respect in the pelotons or the respect of the fans for whatever that may be worth. What does earn those things is being willing to do the work, to sacrifice yourself for someone else, turning yourself inside out for a cause greater than yourself. When Kwiatkowski signed for Team Sky, he knew, as did everyone, that Team Sky would have the expectation of him being a worker at the Tour de France, helping them take home the yellow jersey and continue their dominant run. What I don't think anyone really expected was just how much he would dedicate himself to the cause. And this was made clear in 2017, in 2 stages. On stage 14 to Rodez, Kwiatkowski was the most instrumental member of the team, and he set up Chris Froome absolutely perfectly for the final climb of the day. And then the very next day, stage 15, and Chris Froome has mechanical, and immediately Kwiatkowski sacrifices his back wheel, no hesitation or second guessing needed. This is on top of all the other selfless work of spending climb after climb leading the race. And there's a lot of moments like these, and all of these moments of service are what make my favorite victory of Kwiatkowski's so special. The 2020 Tour de France was a disaster for Team Sky, which is now called Team Ineos. Their team leader and defending overall winner, Egan Bernal, has dropped out of the race before the start of stage 17. So we come to stage 18. It has multiple climbs, including 3 Category 1 climbs, and a huge breakaway goes. And in it are Kwiatkowski and his teammate, Richard Carapaz, last year's winner of the Giro d'Italia. As the stage progresses, more and more riders are shed from the breakaway. They begin the ascent of an above category climb with an average gradient of 11%, and that third rider just can't hang, leaving the brothers in arms alone at the front. There's something to note here, and that it's Kwiatkowski, a decade into his career, a world champion, monument winner, has never won a stage of a Grand Tour. When he's at these events, he's just a tool for the team, but today he gets to shine on what is the biggest stage of them all. For the next 35 kilometers, Carapaz and Kwiatkowski work beautifully together. With 6 kilometers left, the two discuss and plan how they want the finish to go. Are they going to go all out and race each other? Are there team orders at play we're not aware of? With 500 meters to go, we had our answer. Carapaz, and the team as a whole, will give this win to their superstar worker, a man with immense talent, a consummate pro, someone that we should all aspire to be more like. And so, Michał Kwiatkowski, arm around his teammate, would win his first ever stage of the Tour de France, and have one of, if not the, defining victories of his career.